Welcome to Plant the Love. We are going to talk about fostering wellness through the power of natural plants and positive mental health practices. I am your host, Ashley Rawson. On our show, you're going to hear from folks who have a lot of knowledge and expertise about this sneaky little subject. If you're curious if this path is right for you, you have come to the right place. We will empower you with information to make healthy, life-changing choices. We're so glad you're here. Now on to the episode. Disclaimer. The content in this show is for informational purposes only. It is not intended for medical advice. It does not take the place of treatment by a medical health professional. Listeners and viewers should consult with their doctor or medical health professional with any medical concerns. I am not a doctor. However, we do work closely with doctors when we review medications. I do not have a medical degree of any kind. What we are discussing has been in no way approved by the FDA. What I am sharing with you has been from my own experience and research. If you are taking any medication, do not make any changes until you consult your doctor. And now, let's start the Plant the Love show. Hello, beautiful world. How are you? My name is Ashley, and I'm the host of Plant the Love. I am so happy to be here with all of you today. If you watched my last week's episode, I shared with you that I was going to be going through a very interesting type of treatment. To say that it is alternative is an understatement. It's actually not legal. They are in the process of legalizing it through the FDA, but of course, these things take time. So if you are one such as myself, which has explored the world of plant-based medicine over the past 10 years of my life, this seemed to be something that has most definitely been a subject that I have heard about, expressed interest in, and then began to take time to research and educate myself as to whether or not this was something that should be a choice that I make for my own life and my own mental health treatment. After months of contemplation, as I shared last week, without a shadow of a doubt, this absolutely was something that I wanted to explore, and I'm thrilled that I did. Today is Thursday, and on Tuesday, I had my very first MDMA clinical treatment. I was treated by a medical professional, and it was a pretty unbelievable experience. Now, I want to preface this by stating that I am not an advocate in any way of doing this recreationally whatsoever. Prior to making this choice, this professional actually interviewed me to make sure that I was a candidate that could safely receive the medicine. One of the first questions that they ask, should you choose this route of alternative medicine treatment, are you on any SSRIs or SSIs? And I have shared in my experience that from the time I was 27 years old until the time I was 48, I am now 49, I took pharmaceutical medications for a bipolar diagnosis. A year ago, July, I took 12 weeks and weaned myself with medical guidance off of pharmaceuticals onto vitamins. And it's worked well, but I have to say that life is going to throw things at you. Life is what it is. It's going to be really good. It's going to be really bad. We're going to have troubles. We're going to have trials. We're going to have tribulations. How my emotions and how I navigate that is a choice. And so I am choosing to heal what trauma lies beneath me. And that choice of healing for me was not pharmaceuticals. I seemed stuck. And as I got off pharmaceuticals, I noticed that my gut instinct actually awakened. And I started making choices and decisions that would have been, in my mind, a little bit different under the guide of the pharmaceutical. So looking at and researching and making the choice to go with MDMA treatment took some time. This particular guide, of course, like I said, had to do a pre-interview. And I also had a responsibility as a patient or client to educate myself further on MDMA. So I had 2 books that I had to read, actually 3. The Body Keeps Score, which actually, when I opened it, after the first couple of pages, I threw the book across the room and was not even ready, nowhere near ready to continue reading the rest of it. The other book was A Dose of Hope. Strongly urge anyone who is considering plant-based therapy such as this, and it's actually a synthetic, let me be clear, plant-based but synthetic therapy, MDMA. It is not a magic pill. It requires preparation and follow through. So really, I'm just beginning this journey because my next step is talk-based therapy, which I follow up with a therapist, go through what I experienced, and we discuss it. And mine was very unusual. I did not speak at all. I'm one of the most talkative people typically, and I didn't talk. What I can tell you, and I made notes, I began journaling, is that when I walked in, now remember, weeks and months of planning for this day. It was something that I educated myself on and something that I believed in. And I trust the medicine, and I most certainly trust the process. I trust my guide, and I trust that I will follow through and follow up with what lies after this, the next steps. And in reading A Dose of Hope, you really gain an understanding that this is not a magic pill. There's no miracle that's going to occur. The universe and God, to me, God and the universe will guide you through. The medicine will give you what you need on that first treatment. So while contemplating this decision to go this MDMA treatment route, I looked at the research. The research says it all. I've tried pharmaceutical therapy, natural therapy with the vitamins, and the natural, it's worked, but learning how to deal with the emotions from an open gut instinct that really was numbed for 20 years of my life was a learning curve, to say the least. And when life throws life at you, and situational depression or chemical depression, whatever you want to call it, clinical, situational depression sank in, writing out a depression could be difficult is an understatement. When a trap door, to me, the way that I describe depression, trap doors open beneath you, your fight or flight kicks in, there's a panic button that switches on, and there's just cortisol firing. You're panicked, which means if there's panic, there's no hope, there's no faith. And you have when those trap doors open, fight or flight kicks in, you've got massive amount of cortisol firing. So there's no rational thinking. And when you land, you have no idea in this dark chamber which way is up, which way is out. It is blacker than black. Depression can be painful. And I was beginning to reach consistent levels that became concerning to my overall general health and well-being. So I reached out to professionals and I explored this plant-based medicine. So yes, you have to be a candidate. Yes, there is an interview. Yes, who your guide is or your representative is very, very important. And I'm so thankful and blessed that the right people were placed in my path at the right time. We drove a very long way to a location. I was able to connect with nature prior to the treatment, which was something that was suggested. I can tell you that for months, my left shoulder was in a lock. It was literally pulled forward. It was locking my heart, protecting it from everything that was happening in my life. And I had over several weeks, I had been trying to stretch it and use different things, but this was obviously not a muscle pull. This was stress. This was something that was way, way deeper in my tissue than just one muscle. And so, went out with nature. While I was in nature, I had shoes that were not supporting my arch, and my body was telling me that it was not happy. And so over the next couple of days, while I experienced a lot of thrill and joy, my body was very sore. And so by the time I arrived at the location and I met with my guide, what I can tell you is that I was living within my joints, my hips, most certainly my lower back, my neck, definitely my left shoulder, a 10 pain. And I am not a person that goes day to day in my life living with any type of pain. So to say that my body was screaming for this was an understatement. Began the treatment, and it was a capsule that was pure medical grade, measured in dosage. This professional gave me this. I took magnesium with vitamin C. I have been giving myself vitamin C dosage. And I guess at that point, I laid down. I put a blindfold on, which is recommended when you have MDMA therapy. They say that it is a friendly therapy because if it gets too intense at any moment, you can take your blindfold off and you're out of it. They say that your intensity goes from a 10 down to a 1. Well, what I've learned about myself is I was living in my life at a level 10 intensity, such that when I put my blindfold on, my body was actually able to relax for the first time at a level that I don't think that I have been able to feel as an adult ever. Ever in my life have I ever been this relaxed. So, what my guide told me after, first of all, I was instructed to wear comfortable shoes. I was able to lay on a bed with covers over me, and I am always cold. Always cold. I like the room temperature to be almost at 75, 76. I know that's crazy. Some people like it at 69 and I just freeze to death, or 60 in the 60s. But as I was telling you, when I got there, I was in a high level of pain because I've been wearing shoes that did not have arch supports. And so my hips were super tight. No amount of stretching or Epsom salts bath was releasing anything. And I took the first treatment, and I think after 40 minutes, she says, okay, it's time for the second one. And then typically on treatment one, they only give you that amount. She said, I think we're going to give you another one. And so I had an additional milligram amount and never spoke. What she witnessed was me going into a very, very, very deep. She said that she literally saw my motor go from a 100 down to a 20. And that personally, I myself was feeling a level of self-compassion that I had never felt before, which is always good and something that I needed this level of therapy to learn to do. And may I just tell all of you that I have spent years of praying and meditating and have never reached a level of this of self-compassion. In the beginning, it was subtle changes. She said that I could hear, I could mention I feel warmth. And sometimes people will describe feeling a level of love, and I never even really got there. Um, my shoulder, I could feel relax. I could feel what I could describe to you, and this is going to sound really strange, but the tightness in my hips, it was almost like I could feel a rope or the muscle fiber itself just release. And it was almost like in a sequence of motion. It went all the way down my body, all the way down to my toes. And she literally watched me sink into the bed as I just relaxed, as I reached a level of, just exhaled. And again, for years and months, I've done yoga. And these last couple of months, I've worked really hard on a type of breathing where you breathe from your belly button through your abdomen. And I was just breathing just deep. And I let go. My entire body let go. And it was profound. You do lose track. I always knew my name. I knew where I was. I knew, I knew a presence of mind, but you do lose track of time. And so at one point I said, is this going to kick in? Because I noticed that I hadn't said anything. And she said, honey, you're 3 hours in. And I was just, I think I said, wow. I could not believe that my first MDMA treatment experience was self-compassion, saying absolutely nothing, and just feeling a level of relaxation that obviously God and the universe felt that my body needed, that I had never in my life been able to reach before. So if you watch last week and watch now, I think that I can say, and maybe other people can or cannot, I definitely feel a level of calmness that I haven't had before. Um, and I'm grateful for that. And I will continue to talk about this as we take a step back, take a break, and thank the sponsor that has given me an opportunity to have a platform to share this experience with you. And they make an exceptional hemp-based, non-THC CBD product, Osity Labs. Let's hear a little bit from Osity Labs. We'll take a break. See you back here in just a moment, where we'll talk a little bit more about my treatment.
Over the last several years, the hemp industry has exploded. And Osity is a company from the South taking charge of this new frontier. We start with our own world-class plant genetics and use organic and sustainable farming practices to nurture our seedlings into top-quality flower. Our award-winning team uses a state-of-the-art extraction process to isolate not just CBD, but other complementary cannabinoids like CBG and CBC. We remove impurities and then have our own in-house analysis team check and recheck the accuracy of our extracted distillate that goes into our finished products. Our CBD distillate is over 95% pure. Its integrity is unrivaled. We are the industry standard for purity, quality, and consistency. We have a variety of skin gels, edibles, and tinctures. Try our brand out for yourself, and you'll know what quality really means.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Plant the Love. I'm Ashley, your host, and thank you so much for Osity, our sponsor. Coming back to all of you, I am actually sharing with you my most recent treatment, MDMA, which is unfortunately not legal, and that's why I'm not getting very, very specific about things. So if you have questions, I'm not going to be really specific about my answers in terms of where I went, who I saw, unless I really know or think that someone is interested, because if you do go and research, there's research that is out there, and Johns Hopkins University is doing a lot of treatment with psilocybin, which is another psychedelic. I did use microdosed psilocybin to wean myself off of pharmaceuticals this time last year. I never felt out of body or anything like that. I mean, it was microscopic dosage. It was just enough to kind of start to heal the brain, which is supposed to be the power of what these plant-based medicines do. And I want everybody to understand that the goal here is to heal the brain, but it's not a magic pill. There is work that is required in order for, everything to heal. So, again, just to bring you back to the experience, when I started the session, I was definitely at an intensity of about my motor of intensity was about 100 down to a 20 over that time period. And after the session was over, which I did start talking after about 3 hours and 40 minutes. And when I woke up, it was kind of a similar feeling to jet lag and maybe having a lot of coffee. I was jittery, but not woozy. I think I used the word woozy. I couldn't really go back to sleep. My guide was fantastic. She said, feel free to go out to eat if you want to, but you may not want to. Just let your body kind of tell you what goes on. So if I knew what to expect. So we did try to go out, and I stood and we were waiting for a table. And then I looked at the person I was with and said, well, let's go back. So we went back and ended up ordering something. And I did eat a little bit. I wouldn't say that I had a serious appetite, but I took a hot Epsom bath with a hot Epsom salt bath, which is recommended, with some essential oils. I did sleep for a few hours. They did share with me that I may not sleep through the night, which I didn't. And when I moved from the Midwest to Dubai, when I woke up, that kind of reminded me almost as maybe I had a a little bit of reminiscence of jet lag whenever I did move, because when I moved 10 hours away, when you wake up, you're awake. There's no way that you can go back to sleep. And it was kind of a lonely time because it's all hours of the night. But I got up, kind of had a snack, I think, watched an episode of TV or two, and nodded back off. The medicine stays in your system for about 40 hours. And I was curious as to whether or not, if the medicine wore off, that pain would come back. And what I can confidently share with you is that no way. The 10 level pain that I did have when I started this is gone. And I did get better shoes and arch supports, which is going to help. So I'm not going to say it all was the medicine, but so I have the right, support for my feet. All in all, will I do it again? Absolutely. And there is a reason that they don't do this back to back, because it does deplete levels of serotonin. And so there is aftercare that is involved, that I'm instructed to take in order to replenish my brain with the serotonin that was burned out in that therapy. And you also, it is not recommended to have this therapy too close together in time. They want to give your brain enough time to sort of settle back in. And sometimes things might change about you, or your thinking, or your acting, or the way that you look. Maybe sometimes it doesn't. But I most certainly am following up with my therapist as soon as next week to kind of break down the recording. I'm going to be listening to that. And in a couple of months' time, we will be scheduling the second one. And if you talk to people that have gone through this level of therapy, this is something that I'm committing years to, and didn't expect to be fixed by any means overnight. I knew that this was going to be a process, and I've worked a program for about 20 years that has helped me not want to have alcohol. And for whatever reason, I was never able to reach the levels that I needed to in order to continue to grow as a person. I hope that makes sense. If you look, without judging what I did, I strongly encourage you to simply Google MDMA research, compare it to placebo, compare it to pharmaceuticals, and look at the efficacy and the success rate of people when they take this. That's really what sold me. And I trusted the fact that God and the universe put the right people in my path that presented me with trustworthy individuals that I am more than happy to take this step and explore the different levels of issues in my tissue, as we have said in a program that I'm familiar with yet. And I've not mentioned by name, but it involves various steps. Anyway, would I do it again? Hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, yes. And I am so thankful to NGBN TV, the team, my producer, Jana, you're a doll. You're extraordinary person. The people that are in my world and in my circle right now are here right now for a reason. I've never felt more loved and cared about. I've never felt more a stronger energy of encouragement around me right now. And I'm so grateful for this channel to be able to share all of this with you, because I know that these are things that people ask about, and we're ashamed to ask because we don't know how, and who, and where. And so this is an outlet. This show is called Plant the Love, because we're trying to plant love for alternatives that are out there to help people with overall mindfulness, well-being, and to live happy, joyous lives with boundaries. And I can express anything at all. It is that I wish that, boundaries were taught to kids in school, because being 49 years of age and learning these lessons now are, to say the least, humbling. And I know that I could have made a lot of better choices in my life had I known a little bit more about boundaries earlier on in my life. But I am most certainly grateful that I'm learning now and more than willing to continue to learn, to be the best person that I can be, to be the most helpful person that I can be. And I hope that me sharing this experience with all of you um, is helpful. And thank you for watching Plant the Love. And please continue to tune in to our show next week, where I hope to get back to the KISS, which is that keep it simple, sweetheart, those little 5-minute lessons. But I'm just sort of letting the universe guide me. And there's really no lesson in this except that I can simply say, do the research, take time, be loving and kind to yourself, and everybody, plant the love. Take care, and we'll see you back next week.